It is a steamy summer night in Georgia for Game 2 of a three-game set between NL East rivals, the New York Mets and the Atlanta Braves, here on Peachtree TV. Good evening, everybody. I'm Ernie Johnson. Welcome back to Braves Baseball, and welcome back to John Smoltz as well, one of the great legends of baseball and of comedy. Let's talk about where this team is right now, because they had a 7-game lead, John, on July 22nd. Then came a rocky road trip, and the Phillies caught fire at that point. They knocked the lead down to 2.5, but last night with the Braves win over the Mets, the lead is now 3. What is a player's viewpoint right now?
Well, the biggest thing you try to remind yourself, we talked about earlier about the post-All-Star transition. That could be very difficult for a team that's very hot going into the All-Star game, and then they got to come out and continue that. Well, the Braves went through a rough stretch, and the Philadelphia Phillies have still been the team to beat. I know they're 3 games back, but they're still the team to beat. You want, as a player, as big a cushion as you can get to sustain a little rough stretch, and that's what the Braves went through. They sustained it, but guess what? They're back home, and they've had some incredible numbers here at home. When you look at these numbers right here, 35-13, can't explain it. You wish every team could go through it, but you don't know why this year 35-13 has helped them out. And you look at their last 13 home series, and then this would be the best in their modern era if they were to continue to stretch.
The Braves, since the All-Star break, 8 wins and 9 losses. When we come back, searching for the clutch hit. John and I will be back right after this. As we wait for the Braves and the Mets in Game 2 of a 3-game series, there is no overstating the need in a pennant race for clutch hitting, and for the Braves, that's been missing since the All-Star break.
It has, and it comes and goes. Early on, the Braves are riding their hot streak. We're having guys delivering at seam at will, and it sits the All-Star break. You look at some of the numbers in the second half, and these 3 guys have not had the luck or the fortune or the streak, for that matter, as the Braves have struggled to score runs with 2 outs. But as you look at their team runners in scoring position, 206 is down as well. So, the formula works. You need guys to step up, and you've had a couple guys do that last night. And Matty Diaz and, of course, Rick Yankee, a new player. So they come through and jump on a great pitcher early, give them a big win needed. And you know what? This will change. Teams will adapt. Players will adapt. And as you smell the playoffs, look out. The Braves and Bobby Cox are in a nice position right now as we speak.
The Braves beat Johan Santana in the opener. Tonight they face the knuckleball of R.A. Dickey. He gets the ball for the Mets. He'll be opposed by the Braves' Derek Lowe. Back with the first pitch right after this. Braves have taken the field on a 91-degree night. As you can see, very little wind in the ballpark. As we get set for Game 2 out of this 3-game series, time for the Atlanta Center for Cosmetic Dentistry Big Smile Seat Upgrade. JJ has found some lucky fans and is upgrading their seats. Keep watching to see where their new seats are located. Sponsored by the Atlanta Center for Cosmetic Dentistry. And let us take a look at the batting order brought to you by Stone Mountain Park, an evergreen Marriott resort. For great getaway packages, visit stonemountainpark.com. The guy who makes it go for the Mets, Jose Reyes, hits leadoff, and Angel Pagan's having a great year. Carlos Beltran, coming back from knee surgery, hits third. David Wright in the cleanup spot. The good-looking rookie Ike Davis hits fifth. Josh Tolley behind the plate. And then an old friend, Jeff Francoeur, playing right field and batting seventh. Luis Castillo plays second, and R.A. Dickey is on the mound. The Mets will face Derek Lowe, John.
Yeah, Derek Lowe's had a little rough stretch. His last 7 starts, 1-4, and the team is only 1-6. He's got to get it going. He's got to be a pitcher down the stretch that the Braves have got him for, and that's to win some games. The Mets, ironically, in July were only hitting .227 as a team. So this is kind of a battle of Derek going in one direction, Mets going in another direction, see who can, take care of their business, because Derek would like to get this continued win streak at home. He's 7-3 at home with a 4.15 ERA. And the Mets are trying to figure out, are they still in this thing? Can they hang around? Because they didn't make many moves, and they're currently now in fourth place, Ernie.
And they are 5-13 since the All-Star break. Had a 2-9 road trip, which really stung. And Reyes takes the ball. And we are underway here on Peachtree TV. Thanks a lot for being with us tonight, folks. Braves trying to make it 2 straight over New York. Reyes, the switch hitter, flies towards center. Rick Ankiel hardly has to move. 1 down. This is the way the Braves line up defensively. From left center to right, Cabrera, Ankiel, and Jason Hayward. You've got Chipper and Hinsky on the corners. Gonzalez and Infante up the middle. Brian McCann doing the catching with Derek Lowe on the mound.
Since we did games ago, it seems like forever ago in Philadelphia, the Braves and the organization went out and made some pretty good moves and bolstered this team, giving this team a chance to compete down the stretch. And we're going to talk about it later in the game, but the bullpen being a big part of the success of the Braves. They've really added some meat and muscle down there. And, Derek Lowe needs to get to that bullpen to give the Braves a good chance to win the night.
There is Kyle Farnsworth. There's a strike, 1-1 to Angel Pagan. 7th in the National League in hitting at .311. He's stolen 24 bases, which ranks number 3. It's been a breakthrough year for him. And he has been arguably their most consistent hitter. David Wright's had a good year. Carlos Beltran has battled injury and just recently come back, but Pagan has been pretty constant. 2-1.
Offensively, they have really struggled, and that's that really puts them where they're at today, and that's a .500 ball club. They're 14th in average, 12th in runs, 14th in on-base percentage, 13th in slugging and hits. And so they have to have a lot of things go right for them to be successful. Their pitching, on the other hand, has been really way above average, and some people think they're overachieving in that department.
Fouled back to the screen, and the count is full.
But with that market in New York and with all the pressures, and they're always playing second fiddle to the Yankees. Yankees went ahead and made a bunch of moves again, and the Mets basically are looking at their club saying, okay, we're kind of in it, but here's the pieces we have, and we're not willing to give up a lot of young players to get one more.
Grounded on the right side and past Infante into right. 1-out single for Pagan. And keep your eye on him at first. The Mets lead the National League in stolen bases with 92. That's 4th in all of baseball. And you see Pagan with his 24 is 3rd in the league. Jose Reyes, the leadoff hitter, is number 7 with 20, and Lowe throws over there right away.
Derek not too bad at holding runners on. 6 for 15, stolen bases. He's got kind of a quick slide step.
Mac's been working hard on throwing the ball. Maybe a little bit of a... In the old days, that might have been a balk. Didn't come down with his glove rest enough, but he's been doing, you know, that's not a bad statistic.
Beltran hitting .228 as Lowe throws over again. 1 home run and 6 RBIs. Again, had the knee problems and is not, at this point, the player he was. More noticeable on the defensive end than the offensive end.
Yeah, this guy as a switch hitter was as potent of a hitter there for a couple years. Made this lineup go, made it difficult for managers to try to decide which side of the plate they wanted to turn him on, and he was an outstanding outfielder. One of those guys that just kind of glided to the ball. Never looked like he was running real fast, and then he played through some tough knee injuries and ultimately had to give in to some surgery, I'm sure, and now he's trying to get back. This is almost fair to say at the end of this month we'll be closer to getting through spring training for him.
Towards second, could be 2. There's 1. There's 2. The Braves turn it 4-6-3. In the top half of the first, the Braves coming to the plate. Peachtree TV, and we take a look at the lineup that Bobby Cox puts out there with Martin Prado out. Once again, Omar Infante in the leadoff spot at second base. Then Jason Hayward, Chipper Jones, and Brian McCann. Eric Hinsky playing first base tonight. Troy Gloss. It's his birthday today, not in the starting lineup. Alex Gonzalez at short. Rick Ankiel picked up a couple of key RBIs last night in his Atlanta debut and his second game with the team. And Melky Cabrera hitting 8th, and Derek Lowe doing the pitching. And here is R.A. Dickey. They'll face the knuckleballer.
Well, patience, 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 because you're going to see all kinds of different, we call it slow stuff up there. It's hard to hit. And R.A. Dickey's an incredible story. He's 4-1 at home, 3-3 away. He's filled in incredibly well. As you look, 17 straight scoreless innings. We'll get into the story that's involved in R.A. Dickey, but he's looking to quiet the Atlanta Braves here at home. One guy that's had an incredible, the only guy that's had any success, Omar, is batting .714 off R.A. Dickey. I believe that's 5 for 7, right?
Just doing the math in your head.
I got a Rain Man type math type Judge Wapner. Got to watch Judge Wapner.
Here we go, and it's only the bottom of the first. Dickey will throw that knuckler, as Josh Tolley told me, as he grounds it up the middle. He does Infante for the first out. He's got 3 speeds on that thing. He said he'll top it out around 81 or 82, and then he's got a mid about 76, and he's got the slow one he'll flutter up there. And if you get a chance to look at Tolley and look at his mitt, you know, it's the more oversized, but it also, as players always have their names stitched on their mitts, he's got Dickey stitched on his right there on the thumb.
As if the size of it wasn't a reminder enough.
Exactly. Jason Hayward.
Well, for those of you at home not following R.A. Dickey, he was not always a knuckleballer. He learned this trait to try and redefine himself, get back to the big leagues, and he's done a remarkable job for the Mets. Could be part of the reason why they didn't go out and get a Roy Oswalt or sacrifice some young guy to try and help their pitching, because really, as we talked about, their pitching has been pretty good. They're first in all of baseball in shutouts, or at least the National League, 5th in ERA, and their relievers are 3rd as well. But there's a story that hopefully we can get through. It's just incredible to me as a pitcher. He got signed by the Rangers, and one of the craziest things happened. As a picture was taken of him, a doctor noticed something different about his arm or his elbow. And for those of you, he gets a signing bonus. They then determine that he's going to go and get an MRI and all this stuff. They find out he has no ligament in his elbow. He's never had one.
And he didn't even know it.
He didn't know it. He pitched his whole college career, high school career without one. He ended up having to give a great portion of that signing bonus back because, of course, that scared the team.
It went from $850,000 down to $75,000.
Unbelievable. And then goes on to not only pitch a really decent career with the Rangers and other teams, and now he's reinvented himself as a knuckleballer. Sign of perseverance, great human being, done a lot of great work outside of baseball. And these are the kind of stories in baseball that kind of go unnoticed because you just don't see this kind of person coming through and having to deal with that adversity right away. Imagine just taking it out of your pants pocket. Just take that money out.
And the thing is, that shot appeared on a Baseball America cover, and it was the Rangers' athletic trainer, Danny Wheat, who saw it and said, look at this picture. His arm does not hang at his side in this picture. It's crooked, and that's what led them to investigate. And the loss of bonus and all that is just a remarkable story. And there's more to it. There's several levels to this thing because he once drove from Nashville down to Atlanta to see Phil Niekro and talk to him in 2008 about the knuckleball. How much do you throw it and that kind of thing. Hayward leads at first. Chipper Jones waits on a 1-2.
Well, if you're at home, you're going, why aren't these guys swinging at these pitches? These baseballs, as you look at the replay, this is a harder one. It goes right at him and then takes off down and away, and there's really not a whole lot Chipper can do. He's at the mercy of that ball. And, to be able to master a knuckleball, you would think, because there's not so many of them, that's the reason there isn't. You just can't master it. It has a mind of its own, and it's going to go wherever the ball determines the ball, the atmosphere, the humidity, all of that has a play in a knuckleball, as it does for every pitcher, but more so as a knuckleballer, because the pressure you're putting on that ball, you're actually using your fingernails to create that almost pushed effect, and the ball just flutters.
Brian McCann, who's at the plate now, told me that he treats at bats against him like it's the first round of BP, where he's just trying to get the bat out there, make contact, serve it out there somewhere if he has to. There are a lot of different approaches. You've heard about guys moving up in the box or doing this or doing that. And as you said, it's just an unpredictable pitch, and you're just trying to make contact.
And one of the things that a lot of switch hitters will do, they'll actually go to their other side and try to track it that way and take the knuckleballer the other way. You've got to look for one that hangs and you can get underneath it to where now that'll create almost like a hanging slider, an ability for the ball to travel farther. But if you don't, you're gonna swing and miss it and go straight up pop-ups or pound it in the dirt. So you actually have to treat going the other way with a knuckleball.
After fouling that pitch off his foot, Brian McCann down 0-2 as Dickey throws over. And I'll guarantee that wasn't a knuckler. That's how you mess up a first baseman like Ike Davis. Throw that butterfly over there to him. Fouled off and out of play.
I don't think there's a pitcher in the game that when they're messing around hasn't flirted with the knuckleball.
There are a lot of position players out there that have pretty good knucklers.
Yeah, I had the time of my life, believe it or not, when I was messing with a knuckleballer late before I had my Tommy John. I threw it harder than pretty much most, and until I lost my thumbnail, that was a pitch I was going to use for the rest of my career, but my thumbnail being a big part of it, I lost that end of the thumb that you need to have to really create.
You were seriously thinking about going that direction?
Oh, yeah, I went the whole next spring training. That's all I threw.
Yeah, look at this.
Every pitcher does it.
Yep.
And they all want to be able to throw one because the goal is to throw it to your fellow teammate. Think about this. Throw it to your fellow teammate so he doesn't get glove and you can hit him. That's where you get the horse laugh. That's where you get – you want them to say, Uncle, no more, please. Don't throw me anymore.
You know who used to have a pretty good one is Lemmer.
Yep. Well, he tried there for a while in independent baseball and was throwing it.
Rounded towards second. Castillo throws him out. So that's it for the Braves in the first. We are scoreless.
TV in HD is brought to you by the Georgia Aquarium. Visit the Georgia Aquarium, where imaginations go to play. Go to georgiaaquarium.org to learn more. Hey, Ernie, I thought you might find this interesting. Since we left Philadelphia, I have now not only become computer literate, I'm writing software and programs all over the place. I'm doing things I've never done before. You know, I didn't know how to even look up a website.
You didn't know how to slash,
no,
in fact.
Had no clue. And in just a short while, I'm writing program and software and dissecting all kinds of codes, and it's actually fun.
Yeah. Waiting for the punchline.
No, there is
3, 2, 1. No. David Wright grabs the first pitch in the hole. Alex Gonzalez throws him out.
Everyone was worried about David Wright early in the season, the way he was struggling. His numbers have quieted that down. 302 with 17 home runs and 77 RBIs, second in the league in RBIs. But everybody, with the exception of Mr. Pagan, has really kind of struggled around him. Jason Bay not having the year that they were hoping. He's currently on the DL. Ike Davis has been a nice rookie, and they're getting pieces around the offensive part to kind of feel like, okay, this is a team that can compete again. But it's been real three kind of different sections of the season.
Davis has cooled off a bit. Shows a lot of promise. Really has a good glove at first and has a sweet stroke from the left side. 15 home runs, 53 runs batted in. That's a rookie record for the Mets. The 15 home runs. Back up the middle and through. And the Mets have their second hit. Pagan singled in the first, but was erased in the Beltran double play. And here is Josh Tolley. Just 3 for his last 27 over the last 12 games with an at bat. And he will be the catcher every time R.A. Dickey is out there.
You know, when you're in that position, you're just kind of hoping that not only you do a good job for R.A. Dickey and that he's successful, which means that you'll have a job in the big leagues, but that you can convince, you know, the organization that you could potentially be a, you know, more than just the knuckleball catcher or the guy that catches one guy every 5 days. Because that usually happens. Not every everyday catcher can catch a knuckleball. Right. I'll never forget Eddie Perez in spring training. And Eddie was as good as hands as you'll ever see as a catcher. And he said, come on, Smoltz, you just throw it. And I said, you really need a bigger glove. I'm telling you, you need a bigger glove. He says, just throw it. Well, when I threw it, he didn't get any glove on it. He hit him in the bicep, and he had me autograph the bruise about 2 days later.
In the left center field and shallow. Cabrera ranges over and makes the play. 2 down. He autographed the bruise.
Fans, it's time for the know-how question of the game built by the Home Depot. If you have a question, send us an email, and if chosen, we will answer it later in the game. Send your email to braves@peachtreetv.com. Please include your name. More saving, more doing. That's the power of Home Depot.
Here is Jeff Francoeur. Yes, sir?
I missed that the last 20 days or so, 30 days. Reading those.
We're doing the Home Depot.
That's fun. Yeah. Great company, too.
You're too much. Here's Francoeur. No balls and a strike. Jeff's been fighting it.
Yeah, as I talked to him earlier today, he's working on some things, and as a big league player, you always have to be working on things to try and make sure that you are ahead of ahead of the next curve that's going to be thrown your way, because that's exactly what happens in this game. And it's been a crazy season for him. You know, 2 weeks ago talked about he was going to be traded. Now he's playing every day because of Jason Bay being on the DL, and every player wants to feel comfortable that their position is locked in. And Jeff has had his, streaks, of which can be very humbling and very frustrating, but it takes a special person to stay in there and keep going at it.
He says he's really anxious at the plate. He's trying to get loose, trying to settle himself, and even said, look, I'm at the point, maybe I need some medicine. I'm serious. I mean, he's really struggling just with getting comfortable at the plate.
Well, you go up there a lot as a hitter, and a fan doesn't understand it. You feel like the count's 0-0, but you feel like it's 0-2. And when you go through those stretches, nothing can be worse feeling than that. There's guys that go up to the plate and feeling it's 0-2, and they're going to work their way to a hit. They just feel that comfortable. When you get into the game and the game of confidence, and you lose it, these guys, look, he's a great athlete, but every athlete goes through tough times, and they have to reinvent themselves at times to say, hey, I can play this game.
Runner going, fly ball center, and Keel, and that's it for the Mets in the top half of the second. We head to the bottom half, scoreless. Peachtree. Let's take a look at tonight's leaderboard, brought to you by the Sunshine House, a tradition of excellence in early education. The records against each other in the NL East. The Marlins leading the way over the Braves. Everybody's been beating each other on a pretty regular basis, and the Philadelphia Phillies are in Florida tonight with Roy Halladay on the mound with that 2.21 ERA.
And believe me, if your player's on the team, you're lying if you're not looking around going, uh-oh, that's probably a win for Philadelphia. We got to put one on the board for us. I know you got to take care of your own business and you can't look behind you too much, but it's in human nature to sit there and do just that. You look at those statistics on that the interdivision play, and it doesn't do it any justice how bad the Braves were early, what a rally job they've done to even get in this position, because they were really bad, and it really drove them in last place there for the good portion of April.
Eric Hinsky grounds it up the middle. Castillo throws him out.
I mean, we're just like fans, too, when fans are looking at waking up in the morning to try and check out the
score. You do some scoreboard watching,
you have to. I know I did. Anyone else will tell you they're lying, because you want to feel good about, you know if you win, that will take care of itself. But shoot, you want to put yourself in a position where if you don't, the other guys aren't close enough. And the goal of this game is to get in the playoffs, because anyone can win when you get there. And you don't care. And speaking of not caring, you don't care to be hit by a pitch at that speed.
So Alex Gonzalez takes one for the club, and he's on first.
Yeah, you can just walk into that one. Just turn your back. It's a little bit of a mosquito bite, but compared to 90, you'll take it.
And that looked like the slower edition of the R.A. Dickey knuckleball of the 3-speed. And Keel tried to check, and did. Big first impression for the Atlanta fans last night when he came up with that 2 RBI hit in the first, en route to a 4-1 win over the Mets.
I just, as you look at this right here, it was a big hit off a pitcher that really doesn't, if you're going to get him, you got to get him early, and the Braves did, and then he settled down and held it right there, but Tim Hudson did a marvelous job keeping the Mets at bay. But I don't think there's two greater stories, pitcher, hitter, that I can ever remember than these two guys right now. I mean, just stories of perseverance, stories of, Rick Ankiel, everyone knows the story of just throwing the ball 95 miles an hour, not being able to. I mean, this doesn't happen where you come back and play another position and
succeed at it.
Yeah.
But you remember the year 2000. He's pitching for the Cardinals against the Braves in the NLDS. I mean, what part of you as a pitcher, when you watch that, what were you thinking?
Well, what I was thinking is what I told every player before the game. I told every position player that was playing, don't swing.
Into right field for another hit for Ankiel. Gonzalez around second. He'll be at third. They're on the corners.
And as the reason I said don't swing is because I knew the emotions of what a playoff game is like, yet alone the emotions he was battling within himself. I said he can't throw a strike. You look at this replay right here, and he got enough of this knuckleball just to get it by the second baseman Castillo. And that's what you got to be able to do, is sit back and wait for that thing, because it's moving at the last minute. Try to find a hole. The Braves got a little bit of action right here in the second, as it looks like potentially we could have some participation. Precipitation.
We do have participation going on right here. And precipitation is a distinct possibility.
I was just seeing if you were listening.
Thanks, Mr. Webster. They're at first and third with one out for Melky Cabrera. Held back, a ball and a strike.
Glavin's loving it because he knows exactly what I meant, because he's heard it for years.
So all those clouds overhead, folks, means about an 80% chance of participation.
You're right. The rain will participate.
Grounded towards second. There's one. They won't get two. The Braves are on the board.
Those are the little things right there that are important. Hustling out, taking the player out at second base, doing the things you've got to do for your teammates to create a win. Slow ground ball to second. Just enough right there to make it a tougher play. The pitcher's the only one not happy right there for the Mets. But great execution by the Braves. Don't take anything for granted, and they've got an early 1-0 lead.
Gonzalez scored. Ankiel with the breakup slide at second. So here's Derek Lowe, 4 for 33. What's that right off the top of your head there?
That's like a 120-ish, 121-ish, 121, I think.
Little tapper up toward first. Mike Davis with the toss to Dickey. That's the third out, but the Braves score first. We're going to the third.
It's the Bulldogs' first game of the season, and you can only get it here on Peachtree TV. Coming September 4th.
And we welcome you back. Here are the recipients of the Big Smiles Seed Upgrade, sponsored by Dr. Deborah Gray King and the Atlanta Center for Cosmetic Dentistry, the place in Atlanta to get a beautiful smile.
See, after the faux pas, and Glavin texted me, said he knew what I was talking about, I'd have had a hard time with recipients. I might have said precipitation.
You just did have a tough. That's one of the things you carry just in case there is some what, John?
Precipitation.
Excellent. Thank you, Dagmar. We're going to the top half of the third and having absolutely no fun doing that. Luis Castillo is going to lead it off. The Mets have had base hits in each of the first two innings, but nothing to show for it. Castillo, one of 4 switch hitters in this New York starting lineup tonight.
I'll tell you another thing that the Mets have had trouble with is one-run games. An astonishing 12 and 21, 33 one-run games, and they've had a streak of extra inning games of bad fortune. So they've been in a lot of games that just haven't been able to finish them off, and that's really been the tale of their season, where you look at them at 53 and 53 versus potentially 6 or 7 games over 500 if they just got to 500 in one-run games, which the Braves are, 15 and 15.
Over or missed 3-0. Jerry Manuel has tried a couple of different things in the course of this season to shake things up. In May, called all the players into his office, kind of had a cramped team meeting, and they responded okay. They lost that first game and then went 23-8, pulled within a half game of the lead in the National League East, and then July 21st had another meeting to try to tell the guys, look, we're still in this thing, but they came out of the break 2-9 of that with a road trip, and Arizona was just beating them like they owned them. So bunt is laid down by Castillo, and he'll beat it out.
you know, no disrespect to Arizona, but they're not exactly having a season where their bullpen, I think, shut down the Mets 8 straight innings. They've just had their number. And in this day and age, when teams are struggling, you have to take advantage of those teams. You've got to beat up on the teams that are having a tough time. Baltimore in the American League, for example, and just the Mets haven't been able to do that.
We see Castillo bunt for a base hit. Dickey will bunt to move him over. Unsuccessful there, 0-1. He does have 4 sacrifice bunts this year. He's hitting 200, 5 out of 25, had a couple of hits in one game against the Braves. Shipper on the move in from third, bunted up toward first. Hinsky to Infante, sacrifice accomplished. 3-4 on the putout, Castillo to second.
And if the Mets are to pull this thing off, one thing they're probably not going to want when they head into September is a lead of at least 3 games, because they've done that in 2 straight years and not made the postseason. The only major league team, thanks to Al and his incredible team of 1.
He is a one-man gang of research.
But that is pretty amazing when you think about it. The Phillies have obviously benefited from the Mets that one year where they just completely collapsed down the stretch.
Well, they were up 7 games on September 12th.
Yeah. And I know that's not supposed to have a carryover effect for an organization year to year, but I think, you know, when you think of what that season meant and how bad it felt, the Mets have not really been the same since.
Slapped by Reyes into left. That's fair. It's going to tie the game and roll all the way to the wall. Cabrera up. And Reyes hits second with a double. It's 1-1. Well, John, I think it's the same thinking of if a team has been there and done that, they can always look back and say, hey, yeah, we've done that. We know, we're experienced, we're seasoned, we've been through that. Same thing works the other way.
Yeah.
If you keep blowing leads like that, it can't help but enter your mind when you're in that position again, because maybe you don't want to be reminded, but people will remind you of it.
Right. The only thing they got going for them is they're in a city where the media attention is not that great.
Yes,
so
exactly.
No one will ever bring that up if they're in that position.
A city where they know that Reyes had a tuna melt for lunch.
But I think a big part of the Mets, and you know, the guy who just got the double right there, yeah, started off and had some injury problems, and they never got going as the fans are seeing the participation falling from the sky.
Well, their participation in this evening is being affected by the precipitation.
But he's a big part of them. Him and Castillo, and the ability to cause chaos on the bases wasn't there early. And David Wright wasn't coming off to a great start. And now all of a sudden, you know, they had that run, and they were doing it with people that they didn't expect leaving spring training from a pitching staff, and you get a good feeling like, hey, we could do something special. A great pitch by Derek Lowe right there on a hot hitter.
Pagan caught looking.
There's an inside 2-seam fastball. Actually, he got underneath it and got away with it. May have got the benefit of a call.
John Hirschbeck with the punch out.
Those are pitches where the result doesn't want to be repeated, and you don't want that pitch there many, many more times the rest of the game. Catch him by surprise once, but for Derek to be successful, and especially with his mechanics, 6'5", 6'6", however tall he is, he has times of trouble where he doesn't get down through and let that sinker explode late. It's almost like the leg doesn't get down in a position, but when he's good, that ball acts like a split finger, and the hitter will show you by the way he's reacting to that pitch instead of being able to pick a gap or pick an alley to drive the ball.
Beltran waits on a 1-1. Reyes with the lead at second, and it's 1-2. The Mets have tied it up here in the third. One single by Luis Castillo. Sacrifice bunt by R.A. Dickey, and the run-scoring double by Jose Reyes.
You know, we get a lot of statistics that sometimes have value more than the rest, and this one does. I mean, 5.5 ERA in innings after the Braves score. And the reason that has value, not in a great way, is because when your team scores, you've got to get back in the inning with a 0. That's the biggest inning, I think, for a pitcher. And what that does is it allows your team, obviously, to get ahead even more. But
the term shutdown innings.
Right. You can afford to have that ERA when your team's up by 3 or 4, or you're going to give up some runs. It's just that always became the. So gets the shutdown right there.
Back-to-back strikeouts to end the third, but the Mets do tie it up. Leadoff hitter Jose Reyes, a double into the corner. We're 1-1 going to the bottom of the third. An inning where David from Bremen, Georgia, will have the chance to win free airfare for 2 if the Braves hit a home run here in the third. Visit PeachtreeTV.com/contests for official rules and to enter for a chance to win. AirTran Airways, go. There's nothing stopping you. David from Bremen, you got the top of the order here. OMAR INFANTE leads it off against R.A. Dickey and swings at the first pitch. That'll be easy for Francoeur and right, 1 down.
Well, you hope the raindrops make it a little tougher to throw the knuckleball. I mean, the knuckleball, you want ideal conditions to be able to grip the ball. You're going to grip it a little bit differently than you would, obviously, a fastball or a slider or a curveball. So, see if we can give them a little trouble. Braves to take advantage of it. It's hard enough as it is to hit it.
There's Jason Hayward, who walked his first time. Talking to Josh Tolley before the game about catching the knuckleball. He's just a kid. He's 23 years old. He says he's never caught a knuckleball before. This is the first time, and the key, he says, is being his catcher in between starts too. Every side session, everything else, just to familiarize himself with the flight of the ball. When he sees it do this, when he sees it start to go down and away, he knows where it's going to go, that kind of thing. He says that's been key to handling R.A. Dickey.
Well, I know in my brief experience in Boston, George Gutierrez was the catcher of Tim Wakefield, and Tim.
That's on a button to left and over Pagan.
See, I'm telling you what happened there. Sometimes when you hit a knuckleball, it will knuckle in the outfield, and I guarantee you that ball had a little more carry than Mr. Pagan thought, and that ball took off the bat. You watch right here. He stays back. I talked about going the other way. That's the way you have to approach a knuckleballer. And not that he's loafing, but that ball just kept staying in the air. The Braves are ended up with a double on the recipient of Mr. Hayward. So take them the other way, and the success is there. Try to pull them, unless it's a real bad knuckleball, and you're going to make an out.
Pagan did get a little bit of leather on that, but couldn't flag it down, and now here's Chipper. All out on strikes his first time.
Some of the drills they were doing and George was having to do was incredible. If you watch anybody who has had a knuckleballer on their staff, It takes a very, very unique talent to be able to follow that ball, because you are going to be embarrassed. You're going to look stupid at times, and you've got to be able to be real sure with your hand and not have a whole lot of movement and jabbing. You almost got to follow that ball and let it come in as a not a traditional catcher is used to.
You know, one of the greatest catchers at handling the knuckleball, longtime Braves fans will remember, back in Phil Necro's day, was old number 4, Bob Didier, who did a tremendous job behind the plate catching the knuckleball. And, of course, there's Bob Uecker, who said there's nothing to it. You just walk back to the backstop, and when it stops rolling, pick it up.
I'll never forget the look on Javier Lopez's face in spring training. We went out to pitch that game, and I said, don't give me any signs. And he was like, what? I said, every pitch will be a knuckleball. Seriously, I have to work on it. This is how I'm going to get through the year. He gave me signs every bat, hoping that I would throw something other than a knuckleball. Walk 3, 2 wild pitches, and I think 2 or 3 strikeouts. It was the most fun I'd ever had in spring training, but then shortly after ended up Tommy John surgery.
Fouled off by Chipper. Out of play. The count full. 3-2. Nuxie's advice to R.A. Dickey on throwing the knuckleball, he said no matter where you throw it, never tip the batter off that you didn't throw it where you wanted to. And he also said, look, I won 121 games after the age of 40 with that pitch. You're in the prime of your career. He's 35 years old. Chipper draws a walk there at first and second with 1 out.
Well, like we said earlier, if everybody could do it to salvage their career, you'd see more of them out there. It's just not easy. And you can already see that he's struggling a little bit with the rain. And I like rain, by the way, easier to describe. You just got to have a little better grip on that baseball, and anything that squirts out causes the ball to float higher and doesn't give you that tumble down effect. And this could be a nice inning for the Braves. Brian McCann, shoot him in the left field gap and see what happens.
First and second, 1 down. Brian McCann takes 1-0. Rounded to second his first time.
He gave some second half numbers in the open, but Brian McCann is 333 in the second half with runners in scoring position. That player. First half he was 241. Brian's starting to get his average back where we're used to it. He's hitting 325 since July 3rd. Some power.
Look out. Oh, man. There's a fan who took that one flush on the side of the face. And we were in Tampa over the weekend for the Yankees and Rays on TBS, and there was a broken bat that flew in and hit a fan who had to be carried out. And you know nobody feels worse than Brian McCann right now. And on a wet night in the rain here as he let go of that bat.
Can't say enough in a game. You want to enjoy the game, and you got to pay attention on almost all the time because you never know what's going to happen. And hopefully he'll be fine. But you're right. As a player, even when I threw a pitch down and in that I knew a hitter pulled straight foul over the dugout, I always winced and hoped that nobody would have to deal with the end results of that.
And a ball going into the stands on a line drive can be dangerous, but can be avoided much easier than that flying bat going end over end. And so we hope that that young man who's being escorted to a first aid area is okay. Meantime, with the rain here, Members of the ground crew out there working on the mound. John Hirschbeck was talking to R.A. Dickey a short time ago. The radar says it shouldn't last long. In fact, it's not raining as hard now as it was 5 minutes ago.
You were telling me in the break your corns were bothering you, so you knew rain was coming.
And waiting for the punchline in
Just
3,
not, no,
2,
just
1.
repeating what you told me.
Philadelphia with a 2-1 lead at Florida. Look at Ben Francisco, who's homered there, and Roy Halladay on the mound. Cincinnati and Pittsburgh just underway. Phillies put Ryan Howard on the disabled list. So he rolled his left ankle the other day trying to get back to second base.
Yeah, and he's been the one key the last several years where he stayed really healthy. And it just takes an unusual play in this game. You never think things like that are going to happen. That's a big blow for Philadelphia, probably the biggest in my mind from a pitching standpoint, where you just think of that lineup and you can't help but think about Ryan Howard.
Mark Teixeira has homered for the Yankees, who lost last night to Toronto. They lead 2-1.
Think A-Rod's going to be stuck at $5.99 for the year?
Continue. He's going to hit it eventually, isn't he? He struck out his first time tonight, Hal Galima tells us. And Minnesota trailing Tampa Bay. The Rays are really playing good ball. And Minnesota, give them credit for hanging in there. You know what they do well? They don't walk anybody and they don't make any errors. And they're getting enough hitting with Justin Morneau not in there right now. And they're still right there in the AL Central.
And you know, as we see the other scores here with Chicago being hot, but Detroit having their way with them right here, they are a model for every other team that wants to come up with an excuse of why you can't win with a low budget and a small market. They're the model that says you can do it and be successful and not have one of the highest payrolls in baseball.
All right, we're ready to go again with Brian McCann waiting on a 1-2 from the knuckleballer R.A. Dickey. Straightaway center. Carlos Beltran makes the play. Hayward tags. They're at first and third with 2 down. So here's Eric Hinsky with 2 down.
I tell you, you rarely see what just happened in that inning, in my opinion. There was a small delay because of the fan, but you rarely see the ground crew come out until the inning's finished. Usually as a pitcher, you have to deal with that unless it's gotten worse to the point where you can't pitch, and nothing showed me that it was worse. So a big break for R.A. Dickey to have the mound be redone, dry his hands off, and the rain has stopped.
Fly ball to left. Pagan drifts back short of the track. The Braves get runners to first and third, but cannot score. This has been the Airtran Airways home run inning. Be sure to register at PeachtreeTV.com/contest for official rules and for your chance to win.
could buy Gaydar online.
Can you tell this guy in his phone? Find out if there's a way to tell by just looking at him.
Jim told me you could buy Gaydar online.
The Office, Wednesday at 6 on Peachtree TV.
Here's tonight's Toyota trivia question. Visit your local Toyota dealer today. Toyota, moving forward. Who are the only two pitchers in the majors to throw at least 6 innings in each start this season? Minimum 5 starts. In a few years, that question is going to be, who's the only major league pitcher to ever pitch 4 innings consecutively?
Exactly.
It's going down and down.
In each start.
I think I got one guess. I'm going to say Cliff Lee is one of my guesses. The 5-start thing is, I think, is a buffer. I think that's to confuse you.
I'm trying to think about Roy Halladay.
It's not Roy Halladay.
I'm trying to think about R.A. Dickey. He's had a lot of quality starts.
So you're going to go with R.A. Dickey, and I'm going to go with Cliff Lee.
See, R.A. Dickey would probably, because he's involved in this game, you're thinking, well, yeah, maybe. I don't know. I will. I'll stick with that.
I like your pick.
And you'll go with Cliff Lee.
Yeah. I mean, Tim Hudson would definitely be it, but he's had those rain-shortened games where he's gotten hosed a little bit, where he had to come out. But
so we'll team up on this one, hopefully the two of us together.
Yeah.
We'll have the Toyota trivia question.
And I just want everyone to know at home, we do not research this stuff. This is an honest guess on each one of our parts. Nobody's in our ear telling us stuff. Joe Simpson always confused the facts that I would get him right with being tipped off. And I was not being tipped off. I had a hot streak a couple years ago. And it just happened for me. You have those moments where it just comes to you.
Yeah, it does. How'd the club championship go, by the way?
Oh,
how's your golf
man,
game?
I'll tell you what. Ocean Forest, 6 birdies and an eagle, and I lost. I'm learning valuable lessons in the time off in between broadcasting. I missed a 2-footer on the 18th hole.
And those times are ample.
Yeah.
It's been Philadelphia a few weeks ago. This was the last time you and I were together.
No, I had a great match, but lost. Thanks for bringing it up, Ernie.
You can count on me, partner. Here's David Wright leading off the 4th. Takes low from Derek Lowe. It's 2-0. He grounded to short his first time. That's over. Wright has 8 RBIs in his last 4 games and is up to 77 on the year. That's second in the National League.
He will take the lead if he has any success these next 10 days because of Ryan Howard being on the DL.
And there you see Howard on top of the charts in the National League. And Wright number 2. Joey Votto having a tremendous year for Cincinnati. Here comes a 2-2. There's some firewood on the grounder to short. 1 down.
That's when a sinker's at its best. Starts over the middle of the plate and buries in to a hitter. Now the hitter's going to attack the ball out over the plate, and when the ball comes in below the barrel, that's when you get that sawed-off wood. And not a better sound or feeling for a pitcher when he hears that sound, because not too many good things can happen, at least from a offensive statistic, when the bat breaks.
Mike Davis singled his first time. The Mets rookie first baseman.
He's got that classic, tremendous, looks like softball hit. He could hit a softball forever. He gets back, he coils the bat, almost has a power lift. And where if you can get him off balance, that's where he's going to look and struggle tracking the ball. But when he hits them, I mean, there are no doubters.
Used to love watching Will Clark swing the bat. Had that same graceful swing.
And see, with that hitch, and if you have any pitch going down and away from him, that would be the one that I think give him a lot of problems. But if you don't get the ball down and away from him and you have that ball coming in, he has that hitch and that timing where he's going to hit the ball to right field a long way.
8 of his last 14 hits have been for extra bases. 4 doubles and 4 home runs. Derek Lowe has reached the 50-pitch mark here in the top half of the 4th. Davis waved at that. Counts full.
Great 3-1 pitch, sitting on a dead red sinker, something over the middle of the plate, and he backdoors a curveball, and that's exactly the pitch that'll mess up the timing of Ike Davis. Now, Derek can really do anything he wants from a pitch selection. All he's got to do is execute. Looks like he's going to try and front door a 2-seamer. Great pitch.
Got him swinging, 2 down.
See, that's what that approach to a hitter right there. When you can get a pitch away in the count, you can come back and attack him with your stuff that puts the hitter on the defensive. So 3-1 is what really set this up. Now, you don't want to get behind 3-1 on every hitter to set up a hitter, but that pitch selection right there by Brian and Derek, nice job.
So 2 up and 2 down for Josh Thole, the Mets catcher. Grounded foul off the tarp, all in a strike. One line to right. And Thole is 1 out of 2.
He has an interesting approach to hitting, a lot of movement, almost like in a defensive type stance. That pitch down and in, he was able to golf it. Pitches away from him, he looks like he's just trying to fight off. So you look right here, he goes down and throws the barrel of the bat and hooks it at the same time, trying to get the pitch away, and the ball goes down, and that's traditionally a lot of left-handers like it there. Thole just goes about it in a different way in his approach towards hitting.
Now here's Francoeur, who flied out to center his first time. Now straight back. So, John, 2006, 29 homers, 103 runs batted in. 2007, 19 homers, 105 RBIs. How do you go from that to where Jeff Francoeur is?
Well, it's a combination of a few things. He was on a very good team. Nobody knew much about it. He was a very athletic hitter. What I mean by that is he wasn't mechanically sound then.
Runner going, throw down, late.
But he was athletic enough to hunt pitches and hit them hard, and he hit them all over the place. And when things are going well, all of a sudden the projections were made about him that were pretty much unfair, because he didn't come in. He was never going to be a 300 hitter. But then all of a sudden you start thinking of those numbers, and everyone starts saying what you can do, and you start trying some things. And he got into a funk of which what was successful for him during those numbers, he didn't walk. Then it became his undoing because he didn't walk. And then everyone focused on the fact that all he does is swing. Well, the pitchers made adjustments, and they're good enough in the league to make adjustments. Now, Jeff has been chasing his tail a little bit and trying to follow everyone else's instructions, and it's really gotten to the point where he's lost his identity as a hitter. And when you lose your identity as a hitter, you're going to do certain things that are out of character, and he has done some of those, and you just hope you can learn from them and get back to the player that you know you are. That was the short answer to your question.
That was the good answer. Thole's at second after his first stolen base of the year. The count 2-2 to Jeff Francoeur.
You know, when you talk about this game, it's real easy to say, just take one pitch at a time. One pitch at a time. But what a hitter and a pitcher does is they think 4 pitches at a time. They get ahead of themselves. And when you get ahead of yourselves, your success rate goes way down. And you learn that the more you're in the game, the more you have to adjust, and really the more you fail. And when a player can slow it down and just take one pitch approach, 2 in a bat, the game changes. But when you go into the game going, oh, I got to find a way to go 1 for 3. I got to find a way to go 2 for 4 to increase my average. You're now speeding things up and giving yourself no chance for success.
The 2-2 with 2 out and a runner at second. Nibbled at the corner and missed, the count full.
And what's happened with Jeff is he's got his head is moving and his body's not following in the way it should. So you're seeing a lot of pop-ups. You're seeing a lot of reaches. His first movement's towards the third base dugout, and all of a sudden the pitch on the outside he can't do anything about. He's chasing the inside part. So he's given a pitcher too many chances to get him out.
Rounded up the middle, Gonzalez gobbles it up and throws him out. That'll do it for the Mets in the top half of the fourth. We head to the bottom half. Knotted up at 1.
Trivia question: who are the only 2 pitchers in the majors to throw at least 6 innings in each start this season, minimum 5 starts?
And you said Cliff Lee.
Yep.
And I said R.A. Dickey. Let's see how survey says. Oh, you got your part right. Sorry I let you down. Brett Myers has been lights out.
He sure has.
For the Astros. A lot of folks thought maybe he'd move before the deadline. In fact, some thought, hey, maybe Philadelphia gets him back. As it turns out, Philadelphia goes for Roy Oswalt. Here's Alex Gonzalez to lead it off in the fourth. So how much did Philadelphia improve themselves with Oswalt?
Well, I think they did absolutely what they had to do. I mean, it just goes to show you again their dedication to, they want to win it all. They still believe they're the team to beat. And you know, the Braves did some great things and made some moves. I always felt whoever made the biggest moves was going to give that team the leg up in this division, because anybody has a chance. The Braves are in a nice position with a 3-game lead, but what Philadelphia did is says, okay, we're in this thing. Because when they made that move, they weren't exactly in prime position. I believe they were 7 games back and pretty close to it. And you know, Roy Oswalt is a franchise maker, meaning he is going to deliver big for them. They've got a frontline starting staff that can match with anybody's. Match the Braves. The Braves starting staff is as good as anybody's as well.
They were 7 back on July 22nd, and that's then the 31st is the trade deadline. So they had gotten it rolling pretty good, right, and then kind of said, hey, we're steaming along here pretty good. We're cutting the gap, and now we're going to add this guy from Houston, Roy Oswalt. And so, I don't know. Some people looked at it and said, you got to do something with the bullpen a little bit. You know, they still make games very interesting late.
And they do. And they have been able to. They're one of the few teams that have been able to override some of their deficiencies with an offensive onslaught. They've had the best offense in the National League for years. And they've hidden some of their weaknesses in their starting rotation and their bullpen.
That ball is smoked to left. Is it fair? No. Just foul. Alex Gonzalez darn near had his second home run as a Brave.
And you know, the move that the Braves have made right here with the guy that's at the plate, he adds some power, and he gives them that punch that they needed. I mean, Escobar is a good player and is going to be a good player, but wasn't able to really get it going long enough to sustain what the Braves are trying to do. So they've made some nice adjustments offensively.
This one's flied to left, and that's routine for Angel Pagan, one down.
And then bolstered the bullpen. You know, so now all of a sudden, the talk around the league from some of the players, hey, the Braves got a pretty darn good bullpen. They can shut you down from the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th, and they have. And so now the Braves have been able to overcome their lack of offense at times, whereas Philly wasn't able to. They went out and made a move, and now it's going to be a great stretch run as these two teams battle not only for playoff positions, but possibly for home field advantage and the best record.
And Keel grounds it to first. Davis with the flip, 2 down.
And the team I really thought that was going to make the first move was the Mets, but they assessed their internal organization as what it is, dealing with the injuries, didn't make the moves, and are hoping to stick around, and if nothing else, if things don't work this year, be in better position next year to make that run, because you always think on paper when you leave spring training, you've put together the team you need to do to win, and things don't work out the way they should at times, and that's what the Mets are dealing with.
Jerry Manuel, in fact, says, they asked him, you know, where do you stand right now in the East and in the wild card race? He said, look, we want to right the ship first, then I'll worry about what the standings look like. As Cabrera fouls it back and out of play. You know, you saw Frank Wren a second ago. We showed it to you, the Braves GM, and he's all smiles about what happened in Double-A last night with the M Braves in Mississippi. Got a combined no-hitter from Julio Teheran and Tyrell Harris. Teheran's only 19 years old. He went 5 2/3, and Tyrell Harris went the last 3 1/3 in a 2-0 win over Mobile in Double-A, so a combined no-hitter.
And I don't care what level a no-hitter is. A no-hitter's a no-hitter, and to combine it with 2 guys is awfully special. And, you know, the players enjoy it just as much. Just like Dickey enjoyed that right there.
Great play to get to it. Almost spoiled it with the throw, but got it.
Well, he still had the knuckleball.
But great stop, and then Davis put the big paw up there for the 3rd out.
#1 in customer satisfaction nationwide for 6 straight years. Experience all the comfort and amenities you expect at an unexpectedly low price. Jamieson Inn's Live Large, Pay Less.
Top half of the 5th inning. And it's a much better look above now than it was earlier when we had a little bit of rain. No stoppage in play. And we got a 1-1 game as we head to the 5th.
You know, you mentioned the first baseman and what he had done grabbing that ball. You know, they back in the day, a three-legged dog walked in the Old West to the bar, and the bartender said, "What are you doing?" He says, "I'm looking for the varmint that shot my paw." Hence the big paw. When you, it's just reminding me, it's stuff like that. That's how the files come up.
I cannot express in words how much I have missed working with you over the last 3 weeks. And I think I speak for Hal over there to your right, who's recently left the room.
I had a little help with that one. The visiting clubhouse guy, good friend of mine, John Holland, contributed to that.
Don't drag John into that one.
Well,
the weeks you've had to prepare for this game.
Oh, I go dormant.
Obviously. Castillo lines one fair down the line in left. He'll make the turn at second and stay right there. Lead off double here in the 5th.
You know, tried to go in, and this is what he does so well when he's good. He likes to slap it the other way and run, but you're feeding into his perfect swing when you get that ball up and away. They obviously were trying to go in, which is what he doesn't want, but now you're going to have a bunt here to get the runner to third, and you got to work to a tough Reyes.
And for the second time tonight, R.A. Dickey does his job. And he ran that thing out, too. One down, runner at third.
Executed the bunt as a pitcher should. Makes the next guy's job a little bit easier.
Well, in the top of the 3rd inning, it was a bunt single by Castillo, who was bunted over by Dickey, and then the man at the plate now, Jose Reyes, delivered a run-scoring double. This time, Castillo stands at third with Reyes at the plate, one down. Rounded toward first, fair ball. Hinsky makes the play, and Castillo has to hold. How big is that?
Yeah, not a good job by Reyes there. A little impatient. The Mets had gotten 60% of their runners in with less than 2 outs, which is a pretty good ratio. Or with 2 outs, I'm sorry. So they're going to have to use that ratio right here because they've got 2 outs. But a little bit impatient. You got to look for a pitch to drive. The infield's in. It makes you that much of a better hitter. And Derek Lowe, to his credit, kept the ball down. Tough play at first, as it was a little bit of an in-between, and he kept the speedy runner at third from scoring.
Pagan takes 0-1, so the go-ahead run remains 90 feet away.
It's those kind of things that go unnoticed when you lose a one-run game that don't get brought up. You know, there's a lot of times in a game, and you got to give the pitcher credit sometimes. It's not always the lack of execution from a hitter, but one of the things that you got to realize is that, you know, you got to take advantage of certain things that are given to you and be patient. By the way, somebody made a great paper airplane, and it landed well past the shortstop.
Grounded to first again. Hinsky keeps his feet and wins the race. The Mets get the go-ahead run 90 feet away, but can't move him home. Hinsky at first. Makes the third out.
presented by authority of Atlanta National League Baseball Club Incorporated, and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Braves.
We head to the bottom half of the 5th inning here at Turner Field. Good one going between these NL East rivals, the Mets and the Braves. Tied up at 1 with Derek Lowe leading off in the bottom half of the 5th. Got out of the jam there in the top half.
Lloyd, come on, D.
The knuckleballer into the line.
Easy.
Tapped. And Tolley tried to grab that thing while it was still in fair territory, but it's a foul ball. Impressive stat on the kid Tolley. You know, you're catching a knuckleballer. He has no passed balls this year.
That is impressive.
The 1-1 toward first, and there is Ike Davis. Fielded that short hop with ease for the first out. Time to take a look at the SunTrust Solid Performance, brought to you by SunTrust. Live solid, bank solid. The best average against the Mets. Omar Infante hitting at a .452 clip. He's 0 for 2 tonight.
You know, he had 17 straight scoreless innings, right? R.A. Dickey.
Mm-hmm.
I had 8 straight games spotless in my scorebook. No errors, no mistakes till now.
And you just put the Derek Lowe,
yeah,
3 unassisted, on the New York side,
yeah,
of the ledger.
No.
You hate to see that in this league. You're one of the few guys who still uses whiteout, by the way, in this computer age, and you are computer savvy, computer literate, and you're going to the whiteout.
Yeah, there's some things I can't change, but
well,
that's a little frustrating.
Okay. Do me a favor and turn the scorecard over to the Braves side, because you'll want to write this one down. Omar Infante to the gap. He rounds first and will dig for 2, and he's in with a slide.
I think why Omar has so much success against the knuckleballer is he stays really compact and inside the ball. Now that's his 6th hit and 10 at bats, but you watch right here, right up the middle, stays right on top of the ball. That ball was up. You see how his hands didn't get underneath it. He actually had a tomahawk swing at it being up. That allowed the ball to be sprayed into the gap. Runner in scoring position. Here's another guy right here who I think has the right approach for a knuckleball.
Ready, Jake.
Hit the ball hard his 2nd time, a double to left. Been a long time between homers for Jason. Hasn't homered since June 17th. This might be a good spot as he takes 2-0. Hal, how many at-bats are we talking about now? Had 1 home run in his last 175. 2 balls and a strike. 11 home runs and 50 runs batted in. And he's still only 20 years old for the next week or so. Tap toward first. Davis takes that himself. Infante to third with 2 down.
And you can see again, pulling the ball is not going to have a lot of success. I know that's not the approach every single time you go up there. You think about a game plan, but that flutter of a baseball will change your plan midstream. See if Chipper can't try to get a 2-out hit. Something that hasn't been as a team in the 2nd half.
Braves I talked to before the game, in comparing R.A. Dickey's knuckleball with, say, Tim Wakefield. I said Wakefield really, and you know Tim, more of a floater than than Dickey throws. He
Jab,
throws
jab.
3 different speeds and throws a much harder knuckleball. And the Brian McCann, for one, says there's just a lot of late break on that.
Right, and with Tim, it's flirting with the bare minimum speed to get it to home plate, and it's impressive. I played catch with him. It's
Didn't hit you, has he?
He did. He did.
And you got the horse laugh.
And then you move on.
Chipper was called out on strikes in the first, walked in the third.
Chip.
That's the pitch right there that's going to be real unfair. It starts up at the letters, where you see the Braves across the chest, and then that ball drops down late to get the borderline strike call. Well, a hitter can't hit that unless he's actually doing what Omar did, staying on top of the ball.
Infante tried to rattle Dickey there, bolted from third.
And see, what happens as a hitter is you're seeing slow. Then something that looks 85 all of a sudden looks 92. And rarely have we seen a pitcher with a 90-plus mile-an-hour fastball and a knuckleball. Because if you got a 90-plus mile-an-hour fastball, you really don't need the knuckleball. And so guys who have redeveloped themselves and come back in the league have lost velocity off their fastball. They're not tricking them anymore. And this is their way to kind of keep them off balance.
Chipper's ahead 3-1. The go-ahead run at third. They're at the corners with 2 down.
And here you have Chipper climbing the ladder. Pretty impressive list.
Tied with the hammer.
I'm going to say he passes it. What do you say? What say you?
That's some limb you're out on there, John. Big spot now for Brian McCann in the bottom of the 5th. 2 on, 2 out. Turns away from the knuckler.
Dickey's been impressive all year, but I think even more impressive, he's only given up 1 home run with men on base this year. That's how you keep your ERA down, how you keep your ball club in the games.
Come back.
And you do it with quality starts, those in which you go at least 6 innings, allow 3 earned runs or less, and 11 of his 14 starts have been quality starts.
Brian is almost, for his career, a 300 hitter with runner in scoring position. 299 to be exact. 3-0, I'd be looking for him. I know it's tough against a knuckleballer, but you got to look for one area over the plate and try to go get it, because he might try to sneak in a rare fastball, thinking you're taking. But he didn't. He threw a flutter ball.
3 balls and 1 strike. And they're loaded.
This is the part where I always felt for a knuckleballer he had to have a lot of patience and faith, because now the bases are loaded. And that ability to drop pitches in there with pressure on him now makes it a little more difficult to throw strikes. But he's got to stick with his game plan and hope that he can get an aggressive Eric Hinsky maybe on the first pitch.
That's pitching coach Dan Warthen.
Never quite understood why the whole team comes to the mound when the pitching coach really only wants to talk to one player.
Well, what were they doing when you were out there and Leo was talking to you, for instance?
That was just me and him.
No, other infielders never came in when you were out there.
Well, maybe Chipper every once in a while, not all of them. They didn't want to hear Leo's joke.
There's a line there for me, but I'll pass. The bases are loaded for Eric Hinsky. 2 down in a 1-1 game.
Well, he was aggressive on the first pitch.
Eric told me before the game, here's his thought process in going up against a knuckleballer, just try to hit it right back up the middle. He did his first time. It was thrown out 4-3. Flight out to center, right out to left his second time. And he waits on an 0-1. Broke his bat and fouled it off. There's been wood flying all over the place tonight.
The bat was fair and the ball was fouled.
And the count is 0-2.
Too bad we didn't have a shot of that airplane. It was pretty cool. That's the problem with me. I see way too many things.
It's a little bit of a struggle at times to narrow your focus.
What were we talking about?
Here's the 0-2.
Boy.
Fouled that one back and still alive. R.A. Dickey trying to pitch himself out of a mountain of trouble here in the bottom of the fifth. The bases loaded. 2 out.
And now by getting ahead of the hitter with the bases loaded, he's become that more deadly with the pitch because you can't take any chances as a hitter. You have to be in defense mode and look for anything over the plate to try and get your bat on it because you don't want to take the chance that the umpire is going to call that pitch for a strike.
Boy.
1 ball and 2 strikes, and then you add to this equation the element of the knuckleball, and it can be elusive, and there's no room here to let one get away.
Right. Pressure on everybody here, especially the catcher, because nothing's going to be traditional. And if you're the base runner, you're looking for it to be in the dirt, and if you're the hitter, you're looking to stay away from swinging at it in the dirt.
They got him swinging. The Braves load the bases, but they stay right there. We go to the 6th.
Turner Field this Friday, August 6th, when the Braves retire Tom Glavine's number 47 and induct him in the Braves Hall of Fame prior to the Braves versus Giants game. Ceremony begins at 6:30 p.m. For the best price on single game tickets, visit Braves.com or call 1-800-745-3000. And I am very much looking forward to that Friday because of the tenure of us being teammates. He deserves it. It's going to be a great night. And couldn't be happier for someone who has really been a huge part of this organization, turning it around, winning a great game in '95. And, you know, all those years I was able to beat him in golf and all that stuff. That's just great stuff. I'm really looking forward to it.
Are you trying to get another text?
I can't wait. I'll be driving in from Savannah, and I'm looking forward to that evening.
That'll be a special night. We'll have that game on Peachtree TV, and you'll see the ceremony. Beltran on the ground to Hinsky. Flip to low. One down.
I had it right. You know, I told you I made the mistake. Used the whiteout. It was a 3-1. I could have left it.
That was a 3 unassisted.
I could have changed it to a 3-1.
Yeah, it could have. You've made remarkable progress in the scorebook department.
I had a streak that was impressive.
Here's David Wright. He's grounded to Alex Gonzalez twice. Now there's a fan.
Mine's pretty neat too.
Yeah, yours is not looking bad.
And I'm not doing it in pencil. How easy would it be to do it in pencil?
On the ground again to Gonzalez. And the throw is into the Braves dugout. Well, for the third time tonight, Wright hit a grounder with Gonzalez's name on it, but this one is airmailed into the dugout.
Trying to make a strong throw and just looked like he got a good grip and just got underneath it and the ball sails. And once that thing sails, you're just hoping it hits the screen in front of the dugout to prevent him from going to second. But there's a couple gaps where the ball can get through.
So Wright is out there representing the go-ahead run for Ike Davis, who was singled and struck out. Grounded towards second. Infante will throw him out. Wright moves to third, 2 down.
Here's where you really got to bear down as the pitcher now. You got to pick up your teammate. It's a 1-1 game in the 6th. You can't mess around, and they're going to talk about, potentially with Jeff Francoeur on deck, struggling, what our options are. Brian McCann's going out there and just explaining it, but really Derek has established his sinker the last couple innings, getting a lot of ground balls. That's what you want to see when he's out there. Infielders should not worry about too much standing time. You're going to always be on your toes when Derek's on his game.
Coley singled his last time. Makes a strike 0-1. In the last inning, the Mets had a runner at third with 1 out. And Derek coaxed ground balls to first out of Reyes and Pagan. Coley waiting on a 1-1. Fouled off. Ball and 2 strikes.
You see on that swing how deep he lets the ball get before he lets his hands go, and it's in a crouched position. You would think you could be able to tie him up. Now, this is not the pitcher that Derek is. He's not going to throw a lot of high fastballs, but you're going to have to get the ball chasing and coming back. So an off-speed curveball or something going away that backdoors is going to give him a little bit of trouble. Anything down and in, as we saw earlier, he's able to get the barrel of the bat on it.
A 1-2. Ran it inside and missed 2 balls and 2 strikes.
And that's a good pitch because he kept it up trying to get that front door strike. You look right here. Good movement on a sinker. Stays really good on it. Didn't get the call because it was a ball. Those are the kind of things you have to do if you're Derek Lowe.
Rounded to second. He's going to get out of it. 4-3 in the book. And in the middle of the 6th, it's 1-1. Your schedule brought to you by Airtran Airways. Go. There's nothing stopping you. Got the Braves and the Mets on Peachtree tomorrow night. And then the first two games of the Giants series here on Peachtree Thursday and Friday. Saturday and Sunday against the Giants. One of those on Sports South, the other on Fox Sports South. Going to be an interesting series with the Giants. That's the National League West is something to see with the San Diego Padres, and they've made a move before the deadline, and those have paid off immediately. Ryan Ludwig over there, Tejada over there, and that's a team that has great pitching but has needed a little more offense.
Absolutely. I got to say, I'm surprised that San Diego was able to do some of the things they did, because I bet you in the beginning of the year they never thought they'd be in this position. With credit to their organization, their staff, Bud Black for hanging in there. They're trying to finish off what's really been a magical year. And San Francisco coming in facing the Braves doesn't bode well for offensive numbers, because their pitching staff has been out. If you look at these, they're charging, and everyone thinks, I personally think the Giants are going to catch Padres, but their pitching is awfully good. See if the Braves can at least, you want to win two.
Alex Gonzalez, a leadoff single here in the sixth. We'll see the freak this week, Tim Lincecum.
Has he cut his hair yet?
No, it's still there. Matt Cain was outstanding the other day. I can't wait to see the kid Buster Posey, who has turned heads all around baseball. Giants will be here for 4 starting Thursday.
You saw right there, good hitting. Success is opposite way on a knuckleballer. And so far, most of the hits have all gone the other way or up the middle. And that's one of the things you have to do. You try to pull a ball that's fluttering and floating. Chances of success go way down.
That was just the 4th Atlanta hit. 1-6-0 for the Mets, 1-4-1 for the Braves. In the bottom of the 6th, Van Thiel takes. And you've talked about the comeback this guy made from St. Louis and pitching and going back to the minors still as a pitcher and then converting to an outfielder. And it was really a triumphant return as an outfielder in 2007. Remember when he hit the home run at Tony La Russa? It was an emotional moment because the comeback was complete years after when his career had hit rock bottom.
Yeah, it really is. And I always kidded my teammates. I know I can play outfield in the big leagues, but I can't hit. So this guy's done both.
Castillo flagged that down, and they'll get the force.
But to say, to go back to the minors, and to be able to do it all over again and have a real lesson. You look at this replay, ball hit real hard. Great play by Castillo, and he makes the force out.
He just did flag that down. So Ankiel at first on a fielder's choice. And here's Melky Cabrera to right. That ball's going to get down. That ball's going to roll to the wall. Ankiel around third. He'll score easily. Cabrera on his way to third. It's 2-1.
I'll tell you what, when we get a chance to watch this replay, you're going to see this ball completely going away from Jeff Francoeur. It had a funny spin as he hit it, as most knuckleballs do. This ball goes away and chases to where Jeff cannot get down there and make the play. Bad break for the Mets, great break for the Braves as they're looking to add on as Matt Diaz comes in to pinch hit. This ball just starts fading away. Jeff has decent speed and can't catch up to him. So now the Mets' turn to play the infield in, and Matty's turn to try and get a pitch where he can lift out over their heads.
Yeah, Bobby Cox trying to add to that lead. He's going to pinch hit for Derek Lowe with Matt Diaz here in the 6th. Braves leading 2-1. The Mets thought maybe something was on. They pitched out.
Okay.
Matty, since coming back from his thumb, has done a real nice job for the Braves, filling in, getting some big hits. You saw the hit yesterday, as we talked about in the open. For the Braves to be successful and to make a nice playoff run, they've got to have their total component, the bench. Every part of their team has to be working.
Kyle Farnsworth getting loose. Will be making his Braves debut in his second tour of duty.
Brief second half. Matty has batted .571 with runners in scoring position.
Yeah, Matty.
He knocked in one of the first inning runs against Santana last night.
You're looking at the outfield and who you don't want it to get it to. Potentially that could be Jeff Francoeur. He leads all of baseball again with 9 outfield assists. A little bit erratic, but a great arm, and he loves to throw to the bases.
Broken bat blooper. Castillo makes the play. Cabrera holds at third.
Well, I said he was looking to try and just barely get it over their heads, and he almost did that in an unorthodox way where you rarely see this against a knuckleballer. The bat shattering like that. A nice play by Luis.
So 2 down with a runner at third for Omar Infante. Dickey is a bulldog out there. That's the Jerry Manuel term for him.
Oh, no.
In a game against the Dodgers, it appeared he had strained a leg muscle in the 6th inning, and then he went down to one knee after a pitch. Manuel came out to get him, and he was saying on the mound on his way out there, "I'm not going anywhere." But he did pull him just for fear that he would make the injury worse. But he will battle. Omar wants time. He's looking at a 1-1 count with 2 out. And a runner at third.
I wonder in this crazy day that we live in, and pitch counts and innings counts. What if they got a pitch count on R.A. Dickey throwing the knuckleball?
He's gone well over 100 several times this season.
Whoa, baby. Yeah, whoa.
Ball and 2 strikes. Would have been interesting to see you have some success with that pitch. Enough of that hard slider down and away. Let's go up there and
85-mile-an-hour knuckleball. That's what it was coming in at times.
Grounded right back to the mound. Dickey throws him out, but the Braves break the tie. Melky Cabrera coming through. And Rick Ankiel scores the go-ahead run. It's 2-1.
to you by the World of Coca-Cola. Where else could you hug a 7-foot-tall polar bear? Take home a free 8-ounce glass bottle of Coke. Experience a thrilling 4D theater and taste beverages from around the world. Visit the World of Coca-Cola today.
We move to the top half of the 7th inning here at Turner Field. 6 innings of work for Derek Lowe as he gives way to Kyle Farnsworth here in the 7th, your old teammate.
Yep, Kyle's come back. Some would say get out of jail free card. But he's come back looking to bolster the bullpen, which has already been real good. Add some power and mix and match in there. He's pretty much been in every role in his career. And he's added some frontline beef for the bullpen in case there's any kind of altercations in the
in an ESPN The Magazine survey, he was voted by players as the player they'd least like to meet in a dark alley. Tonight he meets the Mets under the bright lights of Turner Field here in the 7th in a 1-run game. 2-1 Atlanta.
You know, if that was his one shining moment, he made good use of it.
You're talking about 2003 in Cincinnati and the body slam of Paul Wilson, who had charged the mound and had no idea what was coming. It's a YouTube sensation. He faces Jeff Francoeur to start off the 7th. And we wait for his first delivery as he and Ryan McCann try to get on the same page. Here it comes.
You know, it's tough at times to see the signs of the catcher, and that's why you'll see some whiteout on the fingers. Not only is whiteout used in the scoreboard, Hal, but it's used on the fingers so you can see the signs because the shadows make it difficult. So right now, it's a product for Mr. Farnsworth.
Derek Lowe didn't walk a batter tonight. His first start without a walk since September of last year against the Mets.
Well, this is an oddity right here. 3-0 to Jeff Francoeur. He normally doesn't let many pitchers get to 3-0. And that's going to not sit well with Bobby as he comes in and walks the first hitter.
Let's get into, as we see Johnny Venners loosening up. You're in a trade before the deadline. It's your first appearance. You're pretty amped.
Yeah, I mean, he's been here before, and obviously he's from here and lived here. But I think you want to always get off to a good start. And, you know that over time you'll do the same things you've been doing during the course of the season.
Bunted up toward third. Chipper made the play. So Castillo with a sacrifice bunt moves Francoeur to second. And now the Mets will go to the bench.
Well, you know, change of sceneries, whether you're used to it or not. When you change teams, you're getting used to a whole new set of everything. And pitching's still pitching, but you get comfortable where you're at. You get used to the scenarios you're being used in, and that can all change when you go to another team. So, to your point, Ernie, I mean, there's definitely some anxiousness that exists because you want to set the city and your fans and your team in the right motion by getting off to a good start.
Chris Carter's going to pinch hit for R.A. Dickey. Left-handed swinger takes 1-0. Carter 8 for 31 as a pinch hitter with 3 runs batted in. The tying run is at second. Farnsworth to the plate. Missed again. 2-0.
Farnsworth throws really hard, as you can see, and sometimes he does struggle with the command of his fastball. He's got a good slider. He's got a lot of motion. Leg picks up. He uses a lot of his body to get the ball to home plate and his frame. And sometimes it gets a little out of whack. But when he locks in, he's as tough to hit as anybody. can see he's just, the command is not where you want it to be coming out of the pen. And that's the, I always found that that is one of the hardest things, to be locked in out of the bullpen, time in and time again, being of that rhythm and throwing strikes.
The 3-0. That's over. 3 balls and a strike. The dangerous Jose Reyes on deck. Farnsworth trying to battle back from a 3-0 count against Chris Carter. It's full. Hit hard into center, and Keel up and throwing. He'll just pump fake and throw to second. Had no chance at Francoeur. And the game is tied on Chris Carter's RBI single.
Now this pitch right here was more of a get me over pitch instead of an aggressive pitch. If he walked him, no harm done. But his inability to throw strikes to 2 aggressive hitters has cost him early on, because Jeff Francoeur and Chris Carter like to swing the bat. And Chris Carter saw enough pitches in that situation where he was able to hit it for 3-2 count for a base hit, and we've got a brand new ball game.
It is 2-2 as that leadoff walk to Francoeur cost Kyle Farnsworth. And he misses with the first pitch to Reyes. He's 1 out of 3, a run-scoring double in the third. Chipper in on the grass at third as Farnsworth throws over. Two and out.
That's been feast or famine this year, and what seems like when they're winning, they have good success and stay ahead. When they have to come from behind, they're dead last in National League with only 14 come from behind wins, which means things are working on all cylinders for the Mets. The pitching, that's why they're shutouts, that's why they've been able to win. But 14 come from behind wins is not a good number when you consider 9 innings you have for that statistic to be valid. Not just coming from behind in the late innings. It could be after the first inning.
Well, the natives getting restless, and so is Roger McDowell. 3-0.
When you look at the Braves, the opposite of that statistic, they're second with 30 come from behind victories.
Fly ball to center. No trouble for Ankiel. 2 down. You talked earlier about the shutdown innings, and Braves have been unable to get that done tonight. Braves scored in their half of the second. Mets scored in the top of the third. Braves scored to break the tie in the bottom of the sixth. They're in the top of the seventh. The Mets have tied it back up.
And each team, Ernie, has stranded a runner on third with less than 2 outs, which is the reason why we're tied. In the previous inning, the Braves had a chance to have a 2-run lead. And R.A. Dickey did a nice job getting out of that inning and giving his team a chance, and now him personally a chance to get a victory. Now he can't lose. Neither pitcher is going to, or at least Derek Lowe cannot figure in a decision tonight.
That's more like it. Farnsworth starts him off with a strike, 0-1. Runner going. McCann's throw. Out by a mile. Chris Carter trying to get in scoring position, and BMAC saying, I don't think so.
Game built by the Home Depot comes from Brad. The question is, how hard is it to throw a great knuckleball? Well, it cannot be mastered in my opinion, so it's the hardest thing to do, and you're dealing with everything from Mother Nature to the incredible leather of a baseball. You have to be able to be in position to let the ball go at the same point every way, and you still don't know where that ball's going. So to say that you can just throw a bunch of strikes, that to me, what he does, R.A. Dickey, Tim Wakefield, that to me is one of the hardest things to do, and have the trust that it's going to go where you design it to go.
Dickey started out throwing his with 3 fingers. Did you throw yours two or 3?
Yeah, I had 3 on it, and then, you know, I never did the 2-finger. What a lot of guys do is he'll take the part of the horseshoe and put his 2 fingers on the seams and use that. I used to take the middle of the horseshoe and basically use my thumb and these fingers, which is why it's so important to have a thumbnail, which I don't have anymore, and to be able to do that and then throw the ball with a stiff wrist. You cannot allow any of this to happen, and that's just coming from an amateurist guy that always messed with it. I messed with it when I was young, and then the guys that master it, like the Phil Necros of the world, they've got it perfected.
Jason Hayward leading it off here in the bottom half of the 7th against Pedro Feliciano. On in relief of the knuckleballer, R.A. Dickey. You like what you saw of him tonight, Dickey?
Well, I'm just so impressed with the way that he commanded his pitches. He looked like, and we talked about it in that one inning where the rain was coming down, it looked like it was going to give him a problem, and he got a break. And, you know, settled down and kept the Braves' bats from doing anything. And
hit on a hop to Castillo, who throws out Hayward, 1 down.
And again, you know, he is a big part of the reason that could be why the Mets didn't go out and get a lot of pitching help, because he's been so good. And had the Mets offense, had it been a little bit better this second half and taken advantage of some of the teams, you know, they'd be in a much closer spot. When I say it's anyone's division, I mean, they're in 4th place. They got to pass 3 teams, so they're going to have to get awfully hot. It's one thing to pass 1 team. You got to pass 3 teams. There's a lot of things that have to happen and go right.
Chipper takes down low. And you said before the telecast, you talked about the need for Derek Lowe to really step up and be that guy here down the stretch. He went 6 tonight, had not done that in 5 of his last 6 starts, and only allowed 1 run tonight, didn't walk a batter.
No, he did a nice job. And I still think for Derek to be effective, it's got to be games like this, and he's going to have to get in the 7th and 8th innings. And he's going to have to be able to weather the storm. And it's a little tough streak right now, but he picked his ball club up, threw strikes, gave him a chance, left with the lead. That's what we're going to see out of Derek, I think, as the season unfolds, because the second half numbers have been pretty good. He's 70 and 45 in the second half, 500 pitcher in the first half. There's all kinds of reasons that could come into play, none of which I'm going to guess at. But I think the thing is, as they make a stretch run, his durability and his ability to pitch some innings is going to be crucial. Because the bullpen's been great, but you cannot keep using the bullpen 3 innings every night. It's not going to be a formula for success, because those guys, too, are going to get tired.
Chipper ahead in the count 3-1. Hasn't put the ball in play tonight. Struck out, walked twice. He's walked 3 times.
I told you he was going to break that.
A tie with
thing.
Yep.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to roll. So, did you like it? Trying to find out the varmint who shot my ball. Did you like it? I'll give you the feedback.
Were you going to... I was going to say, are you going to tell a joke tonight?
Yeah, the 3-legged dog.
Oh, that was the joke tonight.
Yeah. Walked into the bar in the West, and the bartender said, "What are you doing here?" He says, "I'm looking for the varmint that shot my paw."
Brian McCann singles up the middle. Chipper holds at second. I know, I heard it the first time. Just didn't know if you had the guts to tell it twice. First and second. With 1 out.
Troy Glass coming to the plate.
On his 34th birthday. Perfect time to break out of it. Troy has said, when you're going the way he's going, you do things differently. He said if he knew the city better, maybe he'd take a different route to the ballpark or something like that, trying to shake things up a little bit. He comes to the plate here. In the midst of a real dry spell. It's 15 out of his last 90 since June 28th. And this call to the bullpen brought to you by AT&T. Rethink possible. Feliciano's night done after 3 hitters.
Football season is near. Hey, JJ here, and we hope you're enjoying tonight's game. Now, listen up. The Georgia Bulldogs' first game of the season is right here on Peachtree TV. Saturday, September 4th, your Georgia Dogs play right here. Mark your calendars. It's the SEC on Peachtree TV. One game means everything. Go Dogs.
All right, thank you very much, JJ. Braves trying to break this tie in the bottom half of the 7th inning. Manny Acosta is the 3rd New York pitcher of the night and the 2nd in this inning here in the bottom of the 7th. He will face Troy Glass. Troy hasn't gone deep since June 19th. That was a walk-off against the Kansas City Royals here. Celebrate your birthday here, Troy. Acosta to the plate. Gets something off. 0-1.
Manny has all the pitches you need to be a big league pitcher and to dominate. The question is, does he trust any one of them to be the go-to pitch? He's got a great split finger, good slider, good hard fastball. Has trouble really defining himself as a pitcher as he throws the slider there.
Towards second. There's one. The relay. Double play. Braves get 2 runners on, but can't budge them. The double play ends the threat.
Georgia with reliable customer care, including pest and termite inspections and customized treatment. Visit callactivetoday.com.
Dang, John, your jokes are bugging me.
Oh, I get that. I get that. That's pretty good, Ernie.
No, it's horrible, but I'm glad you appreciate that. Top half of the 8th inning at Turner Field in a 2-2 game.
Terrible.
Troy Gloss.
That's terrible. Terrible.
Troy Gloss stays in the game at first. And Johnny Venners is on. The aerodynamic Johnny Venners shaved his head today. And you can see the outline there. Not a bad idea on these steam bath kind of summer days here in Atlanta. And this heat has just been oppressive. Well, the Mets with all those switch hitters in their lineup can turn around now. Angel Pagan, who was at the plate, and when Chris Carter was thrown out trying to steal in the 7th, leads it off in the 8th. He singled in the 1st, was erased in a double play, called out on strikes in the 3rd, and grounded to 1st in the 5th. The 0-1. John, as a pitcher watching this pitcher, I don't know if nasty or filthy does it justice.
It's pretty special to have a left-hander that has the command of a two-seam fastball at 95 plus and a hard slider. And he's just going to keep getting better as he learns there's certain adjustments that are going to be needed. He's basically dominated in a time where he hasn't had much experience at all. And he's a huge part of the back end of the rotation.
Pagan fouls that off, and it stays 0-2.
And I said the only thing that he's going to, and I know he started some games, and the only thing he's going to run into from time to time is running away from his body, the mechanical aspect that every pitcher fears or deals with at times to time. But he overrides it with power, and that helps.
Tried to check his swing, couldn't.
Attaboy, Mac!
McCann throws him out.
See, that's a product right there. Is you're looking to try and catch up to 95, and he throws this tight slider that starts over the middle of the plate and makes you look like a fool down in the dirt.
Strikeout 2-3 in the book. One down for Carlos Beltran. Looking for his first hit of the night. Venner's around that plate. That's what got Farnsworth in trouble in the 7th. He walked the leadoff hitter who came around to score to tie the game. Got the best ERA of all rookies with a minimum of 10 appearances at 1.19, but there's a base hit by Beltran.
And that's what you're going to have to do. When you've got a sinker that throws up in the upper 90s, you try to pull that, forget it. If you go with it, then you use his power as your advantage. So this is a sinker on the outer half. There's nothing you can do as a pitcher but say, all right, nice job. He made an adjustment. Next time put in that situation, spin a slider off of that. You know, that's where you make the adjustment. But sometimes the hitters just go ahead and make and execute a good swing against a good pitch.
So Beltran on at first with one out for David Wright. Look, that was a bullet into the seats. Beltran's a guy who can steal some bases. Stolen 41 one season in his career. Has not stolen one since coming back. Wright's down 0-2.
All you got to do, that's what I used to hate when people would say, is follow that up with one just like it.
You probably got a lot of advice you'd rather not hear.
Oh, man.
Wright has hit the ball to Alex Gonzalez all 3 times. And once reached on an error on the Braves shortstop. Wright had a cut, but he goes down swinging, 2 down.
And he did that. The number 4 hitters going into that at bat off of Venters. Number 4 hitters on every club hitting 103 with no RBIs. You want to talk about turning it up against the guys that basically are your money hitters. And he did follow that pitch up right there with another one. Outstanding.
Now here's the left-hand hitting Ike Davis to face the left-handed reliever Johnny Venters. Runner at first and 2 down. Davis 1 out of 3. Tough, tight game between rivals in the NL East. 2-2. Nice pitch. Beltran at first, Davis at the plate, Venters on the mound. 1 ball, 1 strike. Phillies are winning tonight without Ryan Howard, without Chase Utley. It's 6-1 in the 8th, but they do have Roy Halladay.
That's a good pitch right there. I thought it might have been a strike. Now he's going to have to make a good pitch, 2-1. More than likely, I think you go to the slider with an aggressive young hitter at the plate, seeing if you can get him to chase.
The 2-1. Just again, 3 balls and a strike. The young Mets catcher Josh Tolley on deck. Another left-handed hitter. Foul back, the count full. So Beltran will be on the move. Payoff pitch to the Mets rookie. They're at first and second with 2 down. Well, Brian McCann to have a word with Johnny Venners.
Right now, they're basically seeing what's going to go as far as the Mets decide. They're going to go with Mike Hessman. Might cause Bobby to make a change. Hessman, a journeyman who's worked hard, been through the Braves organization, worked his way back up to the big leagues. A lot of hard work, long time playing this game. And he'd like to do nothing more than to deliver a hit against his ex-team.
Hessman has the distinction in 2008 of being hit by a pitch twice in the same inning by the same pitcher, Gio Gonzalez.
I take it the umpire missed the first time. First one.
Grounded toward third. That was easy.
your father is just playing dumb.
Ain't nobody playing.
Tyler Perry's Meet the Browns. This fall on Peachtree TV.
Mets have a new catcher here in the bottom of the 8th. 38-year-old, soon-to-be 39-year-old Henry Blanco, a former Brave. Alex Gonzalez to lead it off. Was hit by a pitch and scored in the 2nd. Singled in the 6th.
Boy, gun. Rip, kid.
That's one thing I think Manny, at 96 miles an hour, does not trust his fastball enough, in my opinion. And when he learns to do that, he's going to be very difficult to hit. Slider is very good, split finger, as we said. I think he tries to maybe strike too many guys out, or the thought of striking him out, when he's got a real good fastball as well.
Boy.
Missed outside at 96, 2-2. Gonzalez trying to start something here in the 8th.
Atta baby. Come on, gun.
Bobby Koch, you hear him. He's into it.
Always. Always the abbreviated name of everybody. Add a Y to everything. Or in this case, Gonzo, Gonz.
Gun.
The count full, 3-2. Alex has had 1 homer and 3 RBIs since coming over from Toronto. Came here with 17 homers and 50 runs batted in. Went deep the other day, solo shot. Off speed is fouled back. Oh. Just out of reach, John.
Man. I want to get a play so bad.
We haven't even come close.
No.
My dad used to have the net up in the booth. Caught a bunch with the net. There's a leadoff walk in the 8th.
I'm not afraid to lean out over the railing to get it either. Because these headphones and I'm hooked up, this will save me.
You're very secure up here. A meeting on the mound with the Mets. Dan Warthen and everybody else in a black jersey.
It's impressive. I'll tell you, though, not too long ago, I did learn. I had no idea when Don Mattingly went out with the LA Dodgers. I had no idea that constitutes 2 trips when you walk off the mound, take 2 steps off the mound, then come back on the mound.
If you walk off the dirt.
The dirt. Had no idea. And the rule was not instituted correctly, but you're allowed to finish to that hitter, and then he's got to come out of the game, which gives the opposing bullpen guy a few warm-up pitches, but he had to come in cold, and it ended up costing the Dodgers the game.
Ankiel squares to bunt and fouls it off. Trying to get that go-ahead run in scoring position. Ankiel reached on a fielder's choice in the 6th. Came around to score the Braves' 2nd run on Melky Cabrera's triple. The 0-1. Not squaring. A ball and a strike. Ryan Snitker going through his series of signs down there in the third base coach's box. Gonzalez away from first. And Keel waiting for a 1-1 from Manny Acosta. Swung right through the 95-mile-an-hour fastball, 1-2.
Rip does have power, as we've talked about. He will strike out as well. He's got a big swing. Always looking to drive the ball deep.
I need to tell you, after what we saw in San Francisco with Velez when he was hit by that line drive in that game against Arizona, got to be really careful over there. That ball ricocheted off the padding. Here comes the 1-2. That is even.
Awfully good pitch. 96 at the knees. Maybe just a little bit low. But a great pitch as a pitcher. You want that pitch. You made your 1-2 pitch as good as you want to make it.
We did ask Wally Bell for help. He said no swing. Here's the 2-2. 97 on the gun, 1 down.
You know, there's a lot of extra adrenaline when you're a former Brave. He's playing a pretty good role here until he got hurt. Now he's come back to pitch against his former team, and it looks like he's pretty amped up with his fastball. So far, keeping the team, his team, the Mets, tied.
Only the third Brave to strike out tonight. Now here's Cabrera. He delivered the run-scoring triple in the 6th that gave the Braves, at the time, a 2-1 lead. The Mets have tied it as we play here in the bottom of the 8th. Brooks Conrad has a bat. He's in the on-deck circle.
Come on. Come on, Milt.
How about that guy's flair for the dramatic this season?
I'm trying to figure out where this team would be without him. He has absolutely had an incredible year in a role that just is not glamorized. Coming off the bench, filling in. Just an incredible year. What is it, 2 grand slams already? 2 pinch hit grand slams? Wow. See, I asked the question, and not only do I get the answer, but I get more information than I asked for when Hal says it's the only rookie to ever have that done. Just surrounded with wealth of information and knowledge.
Runner going. The throw. What a throw. Blanco gets Gonzalez easily.
Well, that was supposed to be a hit and run, and the pitch was down. Now it's 3-0. He could get back on first base, but right there is a hit and run, and he just couldn't pull the trigger. I'm guessing it's a hit and run because you could hear Bobby in the dugout yelling, "Swing it."
3-0. So Cabrera on with 2 down. So Brooks Conrad announced, and the switch hitter will try his luck at Manny Acosta. He's made a lot of highlight reels this year, from those grand slams to that ground ball in Chicago that went right inside his jersey. A key component for this team that finds itself in first place by 3 in the NL East coming into tonight's play. All of his home runs have come from the 7th inning on. He bats here in the 8th.
Started him with a split, followed it up with a curveball. Now we'll see if he tries to go high fastball to see if he can get him a swing. He's put him in a hole 0-2. 2 pretty good pitches.
Popped him up. Will it stay in play?
You all right? You all right?
Relico makes the play. He was all right. And that'll do it for the Braves in the 8th. We head to the 9th in a 2-2 game.
SEC Saturdays return on Peachtree TV. Catch all the hard-hitting football action as your favorite SEC football teams go head-to-head, live in HD on Peachtree TV. Can't believe it's almost that time of year, Ernie.
Yeah, you ready to acknowledge, being a Michigan State guy, that the best football in the country is played in the SEC?
Yeah, even though I'm a Big Ten guy, I got to agree with that.
Oh, that was very easy.
Soon we're going to have just like 3 conferences.
Exactly.
3 mega conferences with 40 teams in each. Who can figure anything out anymore?
Let's just get a playoff going too, huh?
I'm all for that.
Yes, sir. Billy Wagner's on. He's 5-1. He's hoping to shut these guys down in the top of the 9th and pick up win number 6 in the bottom half. He faces Jeff Francoeur. Swings at the first pitch. And Matt will wind up in about the 5th row. 0-1.
If you look right here, watch this approach. Now I know Jeff is trying to get the bat out, but you watch his movement is going away. First step is away, and he's trying to attack the hitter. His hips have already flown open, and there's not much he can do. That timing is the difference between a hitter who gets on a fastball and can drive it versus a fastball that goes the other way. And when Jeff is going good, he can stay on that and drive it, even though the guy's throwing 95, 99 miles an hour.
That ball's hit to right and hit pretty well. Hayward back, and the Mets have the lead.
Well, unfortunately, he made that one-pitch adjustment.
The former Brave and Parkview High School product gives New York a 3-2 lead.
There, he's a little bit more on balance. His leg and foot get down, and he uses the power of Wagner to get this pitch over the right field fence. can see Jeff is a high-energy guy. He wants to do well every single time he goes out, and to do well against his former team and to put the Mets up by 1 is a special moment for him and the Mets.
This is bloop to right. Just foul. Jeff had come into this game 1 for his last 21, 4 for 37 since the All-Star break. Was 0 for 2 on the night with a walk and a run scored, and then went deep to lead off the ninth. His 10th home run of the season, 46 RBIs. And you can tell right there when you look in that dugout, as Castillo follows that back, it's 0-2. And when a guy is struggling, he's got teammates there trying to pick him up. And there is not enough encouragement to go around in that dugout when he delivers here in the ninth.
No, it's going to make his drive, if the team hangs on to the River Club where he still resides here, a much more enjoyable return back home.
Here was the scene after the homer.
Watch out, he's going to hurt somebody.
He had a lot of happy moments in this city, and he has one tonight wearing the other guy's uniform. Ball and 2 strikes.
Two ex-Braves could figure in the victory for the Mets. One having a winning pitcher and a winning home run, unless the Braves can come back. Which, in their last at-bats, I believe they're still first in all of base in the National League with 17 come from behind, or last at-bat wins. 30 come from behind.
Here comes the 2-2 from Wagner. Misses again. The count's full. Grounded toward short. Gonzalez makes the play, 1 down. Mets will go to the bench again. Jesus Feliciano. As you look at the final from Florida.
Halladay struggled.
Big game for Chuch Ruiz. 4 out of 5 with a homer. So right now the lead is back to 2.5. And unless the Braves can come back in the ninth, it'll be just a 2-game advantage. 57 games left to play going into tonight for Atlanta.
These are the dog days of baseball, so they say, in August. Go through different stretches where you feel like, oh my gosh, where am I? And then you get that energy boost in September.
Wow, that went quickly.
Braves have the top of the order coming up in the ninth, so they're primed to have their part of the lineup that they would want going against a tough closer.
Braves trying to take advantage of the point you made about these being the dog days. At least you're playing 19 home games in August, 10 on the road, which will help in a regard until September, when those games, the pressure gets ratcheted up and the importance of those games. They're all important, but when you're playing games in September, John, those games really take on added significance. But to try to get through August in these hot days, and you're at home for 19 out of those 29.
And we might add, one of the hottest summers I can remember here in Atlanta. So it takes its toll. I mean, traditionally, the Braves usually have an advantage when it's hot because the other team's coming in. Other players would always say, how do you pitch in this weather? And it wears them out because you're used to it. You can use it to your advantage, but I'll tell you what, it has been a hot, muggy.
Ball's hit hard right at Chipper. So that's it for the Mets in the ninth. But a leadoff homer by Jeff Francoeur has given him the lead. The former Brave stinging his old teammates. And they've got K-Rod coming on. Mets lead at 3-2, and here's a reminder to stay tuned after the game for the AT&T game summary. AT&T, we think possible. Billy Wagner gave up a long ball to Jeff Francoeur in the top half of the ninth. Here in the bottom, the Mets have their closer on, Francisco Rodriguez.
He definitely very animated. Herky-jerky motion. I think at times tries to strike too many guys out. Embarrass you sometimes, and he gets in trouble. With a one-run lead, he's only 5 for 8 in save opportunities. 2-run lead, 4 for 6. Been perfect in 3-run leads. So see if Braves can create a little problem for him here in this one-run game as the Braves trying to snatch a victory from defeat.
And they've got the top of the order here in the ninth. Omar Infante, Jason Hayward, and Chipper. Omar's 1 out of 4. Ball and a strike.
It would almost seem, and I know it's mindset's different, but the way he falls off to the mound so bad to first base, you bump one just anywhere towards the third base side of the mound. Doesn't look like he could get back to it in time to recover. As he really has a pronounced follow through to the right first base side.
This is outside. 2 balls and a strike. Nervous time for Jerry Manuel.
We mentioned the Mets 12 and 21 in one-run games.
They lead this one by 1, bottom of the ninth. Here comes the 2-1 to Infante. 3-1.
I'll tell you what, Henry cost his pitcher a strike there, and Henry's one of the best receivers in the game. That pitch handcuffed him for whatever reason and cost him a strike. That pitch was over the middle of the plate.
Right back to him. 1 down.
You can see right there, he almost didn't get back in time with his follow through, and he could have deflected it and caused a problem. But he did gain his balance to get Omar out. This pitch right here, he falls over, and this pitch almost gets his feet tangled. Reyes probably would have had this ball, but as a pitcher, if you deflect it, it causes a problem for the infielder to try and get on top of that. So a good 3-1 pitch. Now we need Mr. Magic here to get on base.
Jason Hayward, the 20-year-old rookie. Big spot here in the ninth. Takes 1-0. K-Rod was signed by the Angels when he was still 16 years old. Recorded 62 saves in 2008. That's the record. Over for a strike, 1-1.
Bobby's a little frustrated with Jason there because he wants him up there ready to hit, and he was taking a strike the first 2 pitches. Those are 2 good pitches to try and drive. I know he's trying to get a look at the pitcher here, but he's got to be ready to drive any good fastball that he sees. You don't want to get to that curveball or split finger.
That didn't miss by much, 2-1. K-Rod steps off. Now he's ready to go. Here's Hayward. Swung through it at 93, and it's 2-2. Chipper Jones waiting on deck. He'd love to get up there with a runner on.
Come on, Dave.
Rounded toward short. Reyes had him played right there. Well, the Braves' last hope has not put the ball in play tonight. He's walked 3 times after being called out on strikes in the first. Last night, he connected. Last run in a 4-1 win for the Braves over the Mets in the opener of this series. Can he do it from the left side tonight?
Boy, come on, Chip.
Nobody on, 2 out. Chipper at the plate, McCann on deck. And Francisco Rodriguez looking for out number 3. Breaking ball over, 1-1. Fly ball left. Long run for Pagan. He has room. And the Mets have taken game 2 of this series in Atlanta. There is Jeff Francoeur, whose home run in the 9th inning beat his old teammates. (3-9-0) for the Mets, 2-6-1 for the Braves. Back to wrap it up after this.